Hi, I'm Tricia from Club Scrap, and I can't wait to show you our newest and latest method of assembly line scrapbooking. Now, if you're like many people who want to get pages completed but have a hard time getting started, this is the solution right here. And we've made many improvements on this method since 2005 when we first started approaching our scrapbooking with the idea of using everything that comes in your Club Scrap kit, turning it into pages that you use, and leaving you with nothing left to have to organize, store, and try to find another way to use. So we give you the method by which you can use everything we send your way. Okay, so the first thing you need to get started, of course, are your instructions, because it's less of a free-form style. You can naturally make pages any way you like, but this really helps people get a head start on their pages being done. Then you also need a collection. Now, for today, I'm using Club Scrap's January 2017 Color Me Happy Light Kit. The difference between a light kit and a deluxe kit will be that this one, the light kit, makes 8 pages, and a deluxe kit makes 14 completed pages, so it's just more. You also need a nice quality trimmer. I'm using my very, very well-loved Fiskars 12-inch guillotine trimmer with a stabilizing bar. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend picking one up. We keep them on our website available all the time. I also have I'm working on developing a little file folder system, and this is just a prototype of something that I've made to help keep me organized when I'm creating these layouts. And being organized is really a key factor. Basically, it's just a 4-pocket folder. So any kind of a way you can have things in 4 pockets, that would be great. And each pocket represents one double-page spread. So we have layouts 1 and 2, layouts 3 and 4, layout 5 and 6, and layout 7 and 8 in these little pockets. And then my folder just kind of sits here at the top of my trimmer, and I can dump things into the pockets as I go. Okay, so there's a process to this, and I wanted to share that with you. The first thing I like to do is get my papers in order, and my photo mats. Now, photo mats are pre-cut to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, because they make a natural home then for our photographs, which we develop at 4 by 6 typically. And I like to find a pocket for each one of these photo mats. So what I do to find that is I look at the instructions for layout 1 and 2, and the third ingredient will always be the photo mats. And this one calls for 3 white photo mats. So for layout 1 and 2, I'm going to establish my pile for layout 1 and 2 with 3 white photo mats. Then there's also 1 blue photo mat used, so I'll put that in the pocket for 1 and 2. Then for layouts 3 and 4, I'm using 3 brown photo mats and 1 yellow. All right, then I'll turn to the next layout. 5 and 6 uses 2 blue photo mats, and layout 7 and 8 uses the remaining 2 yellow photo mats. Okay, so I have those filed away. The next thing I do is organize my papers in the order in which I will trim them, and sometimes this can help you, help prevent cutting errors. And I'll just follow the order of the cutting diagrams on page 2 of my instructions. So it shows the first thing that I cut is a yellow print, so I'll grab that and set it aside. And that's just 1, only take 1. Then the next piece I need to trim will be the brown. Next, we're trimming the white print. So I'm putting these in order face down, and then a blue plain. So these are the pieces that will be trimmed. In addition, usually on the bottom of your stack, there will be 2 sheets of cut-aparts, and then we'll trim those next. I like to trim the papers first because it's kind of like a warm-up. Then I do something kind of backwards. I start out with layout 7 and 8, and I grab the base paper for layout 8. And in this case, we're using 2 teal planes for layout 7 and 8, so I'll just put those on my pile to be used next. For 5 and 6, we're using 2 green planes, set those aside. And then I'm working backwards here for layout 3 and 4. I'm using a yellow print and a brown plane. And for layouts 1 and 2, we're using a white print and a blue plane. So now I have all of 12 sheets of the paper that we've sent are in order. Now when I teach this class, with 30 students at a time, this helps everything in the rest of our time together go very smoothly. Okay, so as I said, I begin by trimming my 12 by 12 papers first. So I'll set my stack of papers aside and I'll go ahead and grab the yellow print. Now, to keep in mind, when the orientation of the print matters, I will always specify that in the instructions. So this says place one yellow print into the trimmer with the largest sun on the bottom. So this is my big sun, and I'll cut it at 11, 9.5, and 7. So 11. Make sure I stabilize. 9.5 and 7. Okay, so I'm going to glance again at my instructions, and here it says this large piece that's in my trimmer base goes on layout 7 and 8, so I'll file that away. Then the next piece, which is laying right on the top of my pile, also used in 7 and 8. Then this next piece and the one after that, both of these smaller ones, will be used in 3 and 4, so I'm just filing that away. That's it for the yellow. Now I'll take the brown. And the cutting instructions say trim at 11 1/4, 10.5, and 6. Then it says to take the 6 by 12, rotate it horizontally, and cut at 8 and 4. So 8 and 4. Okay, now I have 3 brown photo mats here. According to my diagram and my instructions, all 3 of these pieces are used in 7 and 8, so I'll set that aside. Next, I take the wide piece to the right of my trimmer blade, and I will make 3 cuts. They are at 10 3/4, 7 1/4, and 3 3/4. Okay, so this piece that I just created here will be on my trimmer board, is the top piece in my diagram. That goes on layout 3 and 4. Then you have 2 pieces that are the same size going on layouts 7 and 8. And then this small piece that remains here is a scrap. And then the 2 long strips that remain go on 7 and 8. So you can see having these piles for my trimmed pieces keeps my workspace in nice order. And when it comes time to assemble the pages, it's going to go so fast. You're not going to believe it. All right, the next piece is trimmed at 7 inches. Now, does the orientation of the print matter in this case? No, it does not. Therefore, I didn't specify a rotation for the image. So let's place this in the trimmer at 7 and just make that cut. And then it says to trim the 7 by 12, that's this piece, horizontally at 7. So I have this big piece and then the smaller one. Both of these will go with 5 and 6. And then this other long piece is also trimmed at 7. And that too goes on layouts 5 and 6. All right, next, a blue plane. So we will trim this at 11. I'm just reading the instructions. 8 1/4 and 4. Take the 4 by 12, rotate it horizontally, and cut at 6. Now, kind of as I go, I'll put these in their appropriate piles. So these 2 pieces go in the pile for 1 and 2. Now I have this other wide strip right on top of my pile. I'll cut that horizontally at 9 3/4, 6 3/4, and 3 1/2. So I hopefully created 3 pieces that are all slightly different size. That was intentional, and all of them are used in layouts 5 and 6. Then I have this smaller, skinnier piece that remains. We're going to trim that horizontally, 2 3/4. Okay, and this little 2 3/4 inch piece goes in for layout 1 and 2, and then this little piece right here is a scrap. Set that aside. We have another, like a medium-sized strip left. We'll trim this horizontally at 11. I use this a lot. 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. And that little exercise gave us 4 squares, all the same size, and all of them are used in layouts 5 and 6, leaving this tiny little scrap to be set aside. And this long strip should still be there. That goes in layouts 5 and 6. And that's the trimming of the 4 diagrams. Now, going back to page 1, you'll see an image of 2 sheets of what we call cut-aparts. It's a made-up word. These do not have specific trimming instructions, but they do have tiny little registration marks that indicate where the piece should be trimmed. And we're trying to design them in such a way that you're trimming all of the narrow pieces off your cut-aparts first. So I'm going to create my strips and just line up those registration marks. They should correspond generally with whole or 1/4 inch numbers on your trimmer. So this is approximately 9 inches, and then 8.5 inches. And then keep just sliding it down. Now this is 7.5. But if you're just watching for those little registration marks, you'll be just fine. 6.5. This is going to be 5 3/4. And then watch it very carefully that you don't cut through artwork. And then one more here at 2.5. Also, kind of keep an eye on things too, and you need to rotate and keep things in the order in which they fell. Okay, so I have one more cuts to make, but I can study my diagram for this first series of small pieces. These 2 pieces on the top go in my pile for 3 and 4. This dragonfly, 1 and 2, and the little guy, 1 and 2. And that's based on a new feature I've added to our diagrams, which is really nice. Now this strip needs to be trimmed as well, so the smallest piece will go into the trimmer on my right. And I'll cut at, looks like 10.5, 7, and 3.5. Once again, I'll consult my diagram for piles. So this green one goes on 5 and 6. The blue one goes in 7 and 8. This guy goes in 1 and 2, and this goes in 7 and 8. And now I have this big pile of strips, but if I kept them in order, I can just follow along on my diagram here. So 5 and 6, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 1 and 2, and then these 2 together go on 7 and 8, and 3 and 4, and this together goes on 1 and 2. One more sheet of cut-aparts to prepare, and if you'd like, place your cut-apart into the trimmer in the same orientation as shown on the diagram, and that way all your pieces sort of land in the order they need to be in. So be very careful once again not to cut through any artwork. You'll need to do some rotating. And then now it's already time for a rotation. So then I'll keep going until I end up with my last piece. And then I'll start distributing these to the piles. So I'll grab my document. I've got this floral piece, goes on 5 and 6. This frame's going to go on 3 and 4. Enjoy all the colors goes on 5 and 6. The sun, oop, I have a piece I need to trim off of this. All right, the sun goes on 3 and 4. And then my little details goes on 5 and 6. And this really beats having to hunt down where the images live. Okay, now we have another piece to strip out here. So watch for those registration marks. You know, cut-aparts are great ways to add artwork to your layouts without adding a lot of bulk and expense. Okay, I eat cake, 7 and 8. This blue frame goes on 1 and 2. The green frame goes on 5 and 6, and the orange frame goes on 3 and 4. One more strip here, and we're at the finish line. We've only been at this a few minutes, and we have everything we need to make our 8 completed pages. All you have to do when you're done is adhere everything and add your photos and embellishments, which we've already included. Now here it says these 3 pieces are used plain side up on 5 and 6. So I'm going to take these 3 pieces, turn them over, and put them in my pocket for 5 and 6. This frame is used right side up, and then this little journaling guy is used on 1 and 2. All right, that means with these 2 pieces trimmed, all 4 of my 12 by 12s trimmed, I have everything I need to make my layouts. So I'm carefully going to remove my folder from my trimmer and set that aside. And I'll explain to you why I organized my papers the way I did. To my right, on the next piece on my stack is a 12 by 12 teal plain. And let's consult layouts 7 and 8. So what we're basically going to do is build our stack of pages in a dry fit way. In other words, we're not going to stick anything down. We're just going to dry fit everything and place it, work our way up to the top of the stack, and once you reach layout number 1, you can then go work your way back down and adhere. This prevents misplacement of anything before it's too late. So I have my folders here, and I'm going to go ahead and get into the pocket for 7 and 8 and just take everything out of there. So some of the elements I pulled will be on the layout 7, but I'm starting with layout 8. And I'm looking for this, and you can, try to get it as accurate as you want, or just make it your own, of course. Nothing wrong with doing that. So we've got some photo mats going on here. Oh, and then we have these adorable laser cut frames included as embellishments in your kit. So I'll add this frame, and looks like a cut apart goes here, tucked behind, and later on when I finish I will go ahead and add my little enamel dots that are also indicated on the diagram. But for now, that's layout number 8. Wow, that was fast. Okay, now let's take the base for 7, and we'll grab our largest piece, and we have to build it from the bottom up. Again, it's just a great reason to do this without adhering anything initially, so that you can move things around, tweak a little bit if needed. These go up here. Oh, I have these 2 brown pieces left. I guess that goes right behind this to define that space a little bit better. And then, see, now I know this other little brown strip is going to go behind my border over here. So I missed it initially, but now I know that's where it's going to live. That's layout number 7. Now I'm going to place the green plain on top, which is the next paper in my pile, and that's the base for layout number 6. So I'll go into my folder, I'll grab all the things I need, which is quite substantial, but it's already been sorted for me, and I'll see if I can get this assembled. I need so I have these base pieces. I need one of these here, and the other one here. And what that does is creates some quadrants, and I'm going to create, I'm going to cover the seam between the quadrants with this blue, or matted blue strip here. And then a photo mat will fit into this spot pretty nicely. And I'll enjoy all the colors of life will fit right in there. And a lot of this is going on the other page. I have a piece of blue, and there are many different sizes of blue rectangles. Make sure you grab the one that nests perfectly into this space. And then the other 2 rectangles will go into this spot right here. Okay, and I have another spot for a photo here as well. That's everything I need for this layout. Then I'll grab the base for layout 5, which is green. The large square in the upper left, the small square in the lower right, 4 quadrants. Going to be covered with the seam will be covered with that. Another 4x6 mat, or 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 mat up there. I've got a spot for 4 rectangles. Now, when I attach those rectangles, I use my grid ruler. And that way I can use the 0 center of the grid ruler to find the center of my paper and then distribute them in a nice straight row with equal spacing. Don't leave home without your grid ruler. I forgot mine one time and I felt like I had my hand tied behind my back. It was terrible. Okay, so here I've got a little collage. I've added some of this fuzzy green fiber there. You'll see that on the image of the layouts. And then here I have my nested white panels, a little journaling prompt down at the bottom here, and one of these really fun frames. And look at how it fits right in to that cut apart. Beautiful. Now I'm stacking. We're continuing on now to layout 4. And that's going to be the yellow print again. And let's reach into our folder. I'm going to take everything out of the pocket. Now, and you're at home, so you'll just be taking out of your pile, picking up your pile. Might be easier that way, I don't know. And I've got some photo mats here for this page. Real basic layout with 2 verticals, 1 horizontal. Remember, if you tend to have more horizontal, you can rotate. Just rotate. And this cut apart has a mat. And there's a little journaling prompt here. That's that. Left side of this layout is pretty fun. We've got a wide nested border strip across the top. We have a narrow nested border strip across the bottom. A cut apart, a photo mat. We've got a frame which nests with our Hello laser cut frame. And then a little journaling prompts kind of sticking out down here. Then we're right at the finish line. My friends, this is so awesome. I can't get over how quick and painless this really is. And then you can spend your time focusing on making and keeping your memories instead of figuring out how you're going to use the stuff that you have and turn it into layouts that are beautiful. So we've got some nested photo mats here on the bottom left. We're dividing our page with this anchoring strip with the word joyful. And another blue mat up here horizontally across the top. We have a nested journaling prompt here. One of these frame pieces that will pair with our So Much Fun. I've also used some of this really pretty silver-edged blue grosgrain ribbon on this page. And then finally, we have our last elements to add. At this point, all you need is a good adhesive gun, maybe a stapler to staple on some ribbons, maybe some of our famous bookbinding glue and a needle tip applicator to add the dragonfly charms. The enamel dots are self-adhesive. Your ribbon is good to go. You might want a scissors to trim that, but really, the bulk of the work is done in just minutes, and let's take one more final tour of the finished layouts. So you're working from now top to bottom, layout 1, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All the work has been prepared for you in advance. Then to finish things off, if you look at your instructions, you'll notice there is a number in each photo mat area. That will tell you the size the photo needs to be to fit within that spot. Another great tool to use to find out what photo you need if you don't have your instructions handy, just use our grid ruler, get your reading 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So then you just subtract 1/4 inch from each measurement and your 4 by 6 photo will fit right in that spot. If you want to add photos to these areas too, you just measure it the same exact way. And that way your photos, you're not doing that, ooh, I think the photo needs to be about this size, and then you guess, and then you trim too much off, and then you trim more off the other side, and pretty soon you have a 1 by 1 photo and nowhere to put it. So we try to help you avoid all of those pitfalls and just keep everything moving along very efficiently. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Color Me Happy adventure and that you'll give it a whirl for yourself. Enjoy.